wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you children, those who are joining us here on Zoom, and those who are joining us on Facebook and YouTube. I greet you all with the greeting of Islam, greeting of the people of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, I welcome you all to our special editions of the Children Weekly Halaqah. Just during the month of October, as we started last week, we will be talking about the Islamic heritage and Islamic history. And from today onwards, for the next 3 weeks, we will be, our topic, inshallah ta'ala, will be great scholars, great inventions. So every week we will be talking, inshallah ta'ala, about perhaps one scholar, and if time permits, more than one Muslim scholar, and what they have invented and what they have discovered. Most of you probably already received the poster about these special sessions that we will be having, inshallah ta'ala, every week, starting at 7:15 p.m. up until 8 p.m. inshallah, so for about 45 minutes. Probably it's worth sharing, inshallah ta'ala, with everyone here the poster of these special sessions, inshallah ta'ala. It seems that it's not working right now, so we'll keep it at that, inshallah ta'ala. So whoever is here with us on Zoom, please feel free to interject and answer and give me your input and your opinion, inshallah ta'ala, by pressing your mic button to unmute yourself if whenever there's need to do so, inshallah ta'ala. So today we will be talking about a scholar named Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. Or who is known as Al-Khwarizmi. He's known by his family name or his last name. And before we get into talking about this great scholar, who was also known as the father of mathematics. And by the way, he excelled in many different areas. Al-Khwarizmi, Muhammad bin Musa al-Khwarizmi, was born in a town or a place called Khwarizm. And this is a town or an area in the nowadays known Central Asian countries of Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. If you are on your device, you can Google these countries, and you will see that these countries are next to each other, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. So he was born in a town called Khwarizm, and this place is known nowadays as the city of Khiwa in Uzbekistan. The name Khawarizmi, by the way, it was Latinized, and the Latin version of his name is algorithmi, or algorithm. It's an area of math and physics. That's basically a section of mathematics that is, subhanallah, it's a science by itself. Okay, so let's start talking about Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi. First of all, as we said, that he was born in the town or city of Khawarizm, and some say that he was from there, but his parents have migrated to Baghdad, the city of Baghdad, in the time of Al-Khalifa al-Ma'mun, and he was born in Baghdad. Now, regardless of where he was born, his origin is from the Central Asian countries in what is known nowadays as Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. He was born in the year 164 Hijri, which is basically meaning that he was born around 164 years after the migration of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he passed away in the year 232. So in other words, he lived around 70 years, give and take. And one of the great things that we should know about Muhammad bin Musa al-Khawarizmi, that he was put in charge of the House of Wisdom. Does anyone know where is the House of Wisdom? Any of the people who are here with us? I see Ala and Nada Izzidani are here. Perhaps you can press on your mic and you can give me an answer if you know the answer to this question. Just to give you a hint, the House of Wisdom is or was a huge, one of a kind bookstore or library, I should say. Not a bookstore, a library rather, that was established by Muslims, and it had a tremendous amount of books and beautiful references.
Sorry, I've never heard of it.
You have never heard of it? Okay. So the House of Wisdom is actually a library that was established in the city of Baghdad in Iraq. This is, here you go. This is something new that you are learning. So the Khalifa, or the ruler of the Muslims back then, around the time of Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi, was a man named or known as Al-Ma'mun. Al-Ma'mun, when he heard and when he found out about Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi, he actually appointed him to be one of the main people in charge of the House of Wisdom, or Bayt al-Hikmah. If we talk about Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi, he was, subhanallah, he was someone who was basically clever, smart, and intelligent since his childhood. And his parents basically took care of this thirst for knowledge that he had, and they traveled with him to the city of Baghdad, where he gained the majority of his knowledge. And here I'd like to make one quick pause before we talk about his the books that he compiled, and the great works that this great scholar Muhammad bin Musa al-Khawarizmi have offered. And you know, he has some interesting, amazing work that he has done. Um, it is important to mention here that that in order for us, young Muslims, young Canadian Muslims, to gain knowledge, one of the important things that we should look at is that knowledge is something valuable, right? Um, and I remember the story of, subhanallah, of one of the rulers. He had asked someone, a Muslim scholar, um, you know, invited them to his house. And when the invitation, was delivered to this Muslim scholar, and this is not Muhammad Musa Khawarizmi, by the way, we're talking about someone else. Um, he he asked about the purpose of invitation. So he was told that the king or the ruler wants you to come and teach his son, uh, different knowledges about the Quran, Hadith, and so on and so forth. So this scholar refused to go to the house or the palace of the king or the ruler, and he said that that is, a form. He saw in that a form of discrimination. He said that the son or the child of the king should not be given any special treatment when it comes to learning. Um, you know, so he should basically come and learn with the rest of the students who are, for example, in the place of knowledge in the school or in the mosque, wherever this knowledge is offered, and he refused to go, which teaches us something very important. And this is, this has to do with the story of Muhammad al Musa al Khawarizmi, that that when acquiring knowledge requires what? Requires from it effort. It requires from us to do the search. We are supposed to put our, invest time and effort so that we can learn. In other words, this time and effort could be by, for example, searching for it, could be by, sleeping on time and waking up on time for it. Uh, you know, um, Making sure that we organize our time so we can learn or make the best out of our time, and also traveling to gain knowledge. And this traveling could be in any form. You going to your school is a form of travel, right? You're going to where the knowledge is offered. Right now, the fact that you're online and you are watching or you're participating in this session, that's a form of basically putting time and effort in gaining and learning some knowledge. So this is something very important when it comes to learning and acquiring knowledge, to keep in mind that we always need to put time and effort. And as I said, time is basically by organizing our time, making sure that we, get the best out of our time on a daily basis. And in terms of effort, that could be by basically, making sure that we do our work on time, and also, traveling and searching for knowledge. And we mentioned that, you going to school, or you're going, for example, to your college or university, whatever it is. You for example, going to the science center, making taking trips to learn, uh, out in the open, for example, in your science, or exploration trips. This is all considered a form of basically investing effort and traveling to gain knowledge. So Muhammad bin Musa al-Khawarizmi has done that. So his parents basically supported him to travel, leave the town of Khawarizm, and to travel to Baghdad, And between Khawarizm and Baghdad, I would say there is approximately, you know, probably around 1,500 kilometers or so. So he traveled, you know, quite a distance. And remember, back in those times, they didn't have airplanes, didn't have cars, you know. So the means of travel were, you know, camels, horses. These were and sometimes also they used to use donkeys, depending on the area where they were. So Muhammad bin Musa Khawarizmi basically came and settled in Baghdad, and he learned there, and he grew up there, and eventually, you know, he became one of the great Muslim scholars, and the ruler at that time, um, Al-Ma'mun, appointed him to be in, you know, one of the main people, or in fact, to be in charge of the greatest library uh, uh, at of its time, known as Bayt al-Hikmah, or the House of Wisdom. Now, let's look at al-Khawarizmi, and what did he, you know, bring into basically into this world. What did he discover? So, when we talk about Khawarizmi, you know, he wrote, and he basically uh, made inventions and discoveries, primarily in the basically in physics and math. But he, you know, he was a great philosopher, a great mathematician. He was known to be the father of mathematics, and he is the one, by the way, who introduced the what we know nowadays as the Indian numbers, or he basically transferred the Indian numbers into the and put together the Arabic numbers. And I'm going to show you here on this screen the idea of Muhammad Musa al-Khawarizmi with regards of the numbers, the actual Arabic numbers that we think they are English numbers, but they are actually um, um, they are actually uh, they are Arabic numbers. So I'm going to show you here on the screen. You probably can see that now. So my apologies if there's any. So as you can see, I'm going to be zooming here. So basically, what Muhammad bin Musa al-Khawarizmi did was that um, he introduced these numbers based on basically the number of the angles. So basically, every number has.
My dad told me this just the other day.
Yeah, here we go, mashallah. So, so you are now seeing it with your eyes. So as you can see, number one has how many angles? It has only one angle, right? So and number two, here we're gonna zoom to it. Number two has two angles. This is why it's called two. And then number three has three angles. As you can see, the arrows are pointing to the angles. Number four has four angles. One angle inside and or three angles inside and one outside. Number five has five angles, and number six has six, and seven has seven, and eight has eight, and nine has nine angles. And guess what? Muhammad Musa Khawarizmi was the man or the scholar who introduced zero. Nobody knew what zero was before. So he introduced the number zero. And as you can see, zero, as we know in English or in the numbers nowadays, these numbers, like I said, again, they are not English numbers, they're Arabic numbers, introduced by Muhammad Musa al Khawarizmi, a great Muslim scholar. So the number zero has zero angles. As you can see, it's a circle. So this is one thing about Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi. So he introduced these numbers. He discovered these numbers, and the shape of the numbers, according to Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi, are based on the number of the angles, basically. So the higher the numbers, the more angles this number has, which is a very clever way of basically inventing, or writing numbers. Who could have thought of that? Huh? What else did Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi basically invent or discover? Okay, let's look at some of the things. So in terms of mathematics, so the numbers were one of them. He also discovered, Muhammad Musa al-Khawarizmi also discovered and introduced something that's called al-Khawarizmiyat, or algorithms. And basically, in Arabic, they also call it al-logarithmat. He is basically, it is the base for, the modern I forgot the word, subhanAllah. The modern calculators. So in other words, Muhammad Musa al-Khawarizmi was the first scholar or scientist to introduce al-ala al-hasiba, the calculators, to the world. And algorithm is a science that is now being taught across the world, and it is the base for, not only for mathematics, but also it is the base for programming in computer science. And it is used in engineering. It is used in in so many areas. He also discovered basically how to calculate and how to navigate through different shapes, such as the triangles, and how to measure the angles of the triangles. One of the great books that Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi have written or have basically compiled together, a book known. Just give me 1 second. Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. He basically wrote books on the logarithms, and also he has books on geography, and science, and you name it, basically. So he was one of the great mathematicians, and as you remember, we mentioned that Muhammad ibn Musa was known as the father of what? We mentioned in the beginning of the session. Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi was known as the father of what? Ahmed, or the others who are here. Mariam, Smadi, Yazan, Khalaf. Whoever knows the answer, you just press your mic and give me the answer. Khawarizmi was known as the father of what? Okay, looks like so to give your answer, you just press on your mic and you submit, or you say your answer, you speak. He was known as the father of mathematics. If you had, I don't know if you have participated. That's okay. If you joined after Maryam, that's fine. Or Ahmed Smadi, that's fine. There's no problem. Also, Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi also had made some discoveries in the area of astronomy, and he made extensive studies and research, and he also made he tried to according to the Khalifa or the ruler of the Muslims back then, Al-Ma'mun. He translated some ancient Greek methodologies and Greek books into Arabic, and he built on it because the Greeks were known to have excelled in the area of astronomy, especially. And later on, these books that he put together, they were translated into different languages, into Latin, and also in the area of geography. Al-Khawarizmi also was the first person to introduce a full or an actual map of the world, and he basically compiled, or he authored a book in geography, and basically gave us, or gave the world, an idea of what the Earth actually looks like, or how does the Earth look, and how it has the global or the globe shape that we know now. Because a lot of people back then, they used to think that subhanallah, they used to think that the Earth was what? Does anybody know? What did they think back then? How did the Earth look like? They thought the Earth was what?
Flat.
Yep. They thought that the Earth, people used to think that the Earth is flat. They thought that the Earth is flat. And then many scholars, including Al-Khawarizmi, they refuted that idea, and they said that that's not possible, because the Earth, if the Earth was flat, how come we see the sun basically rising from one end to the other, and it's happening on a regular basis. So they came to basically the conclusion that the Earth must have the oval shape, and that's because and the reason why we feel that it's flat, it's because our volume, or the size of the human beings to the vast, huge size of the Earth is very tiny. This is why we feel as though that the Earth is flat. We cannot see how it has that oval shape, or that globe shape, except if we travel far away outside of the Earth atmosphere. So Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi was one of these scholars who basically made a map, the map of the Earth, and we said that he made many discoveries in the area of astronomy, as well as he was one of the people who wrote extensively in the area of algebraic equations. And in fact, there's a book that he has, and it was translated into several different languages, including Latin and English. and it is being used nowadays as a reference in universities and colleges across the world. And don't forget, and this is the most important part, that Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi is the Muslim scholar that introduced the numbers that we know based on their based on the number of the angles, and I'm going to show that again for those of you who have joined a bit later, so we understand what we are talking about. Here, I will put it on the screen now again. So, for as you can see, these are the actual Arabic numbers that Al-Khawarizmi introduced based based on the idea of the number of the angles. So number 1 has 1 angle, 2 has 2 angles, 3 has 3 angles, and so on and so forth. 4 has 4, 5 has 5. And then if you look at number 7, has 7 angles, and the arrows are pointing, and 8 has 8 angles, and number 9 has 9. And remember that Al-Khawarizmi is the scientist or the Muslim scholar who introduced 0. And by the way, by introducing 0, Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi made a great discovery and a great service to the humans, because if 0 was not discovered, we wouldn't have had these digital watches. We would have not had these digital basically tools that we have nowadays. We would have not had calculators. We would have not had computers. We would have not had all these beautiful subhanallah, useful tools and apps that we have on our phones and our gadgets and our devices. We would have not had airplanes flying. We would have not had cars, and everything nowadays actually depends on algorithm, which is basically the base of a logarithmat or algorithm is discovered by this scientist, Muslim scientist called Al-Khawarizmi, because he's the one who discovered 0, and he is the one who made that great discovery. And with that, he introduced the knowledge of algorithm, or what is known in Arabic as al-Khawarizmiyat, which is basically the base for computer science, for programming, and for the calculators, and for every device that we use nowadays. That is known as PC or computer. So this is it for Muhammad bin Musa al-Khawarizmi. I will just recap quickly that he is the one who discovered 0, and he's the one who discovered the numbers, and he made many great contributions in mathematics, in astronomy, in geography, and he was also a great philosopher. And Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi was born in a town called Khawarizm, which is now on the western side of Uzbekistan. And he was born in the year 164 after the migration of the Prophet Muhammad, and he passed away approximately at the age of approximately 70 in the year 232. And he was known as the father of algebra and the father of mathematics. And also do not forget that he had extensive knowledge in the history of the ancient Greeks as well as Indian. So he spoke both languages, and he translated many of the books from the Greeks as well as the Indians into Arabic. And also don't forget that Muhammad Musa Muhammad Musa al-Khawarizmi is was one of the great scholars who was put in charge of Bayt al-Hikmah, or the House of Wisdom, which was the greatest book store or library at its time, at the time of Al-Khalifa Al-Ma'mun, the Muslim ruler called Al-Ma'mun. So he was basically more or less the manager of this great place. Okay, so inshallah ta'ala we'll leave it at that, and I invite you to read more about the life of Muhammad Musa al-Khawarizmi, and I encourage each and every one of you to remember these facts that we shared, especially about the idea of the numbers having each number having a certain number of angles based on the number itself. So number 1 has 1, 2 has 2 angles, and so on and so forth. And he introduced the number 0, and he introduced basically the algorithms, and he made a lot of contributions by discovering the number 0. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we are celebrating the Islamic Heritage Month, to reward this great Muslim scholar, Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi, who lived for about 70 years, from 164 Hijri until 232. So we're talking about in the 8th century, basically. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward everyone for their participation today. Please join us back again next week on Wednesday at 7:15 p.m. And inshallah ta'ala we will learn about a new scholar and a new discovery. And this will continue on every Wednesday from 7:15 until 8 p.m. inshallah ta'ala during the month of October. So we have 2 more sessions inshallah ta'ala. We had one last week about the importance of history. Today we talked about Muhammad Musa al-Khawarizmi. Next week inshallah ta'ala we'll talk about another great scholar, another great discovery, and that will be inshallah ta'ala the 21st of October, and the 28th will be our last session, and we can continue talking about these discoveries inshallah ta'ala after October as well. And don't forget to join us inshallah on Friday, similarly at 7:15 p.m. on our special edition of Kahoot quiz competition, every Friday at 7:15 p.m. inshallah ta'ala. Okay, thank you very much for joining. I hope that you enjoyed the rest of your evening. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and bless you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bye.
Ma salama. Take care, guys.
Bye.